Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast.
Oh gosh, it's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You leave me no choice. Here comes the smolder.
Wait, you like that?
No,
I don't like that.
No, I don't like that.
No, how about that? You like that?
A little better.
Bread makes you fat?
Does this count as annoying?
Just tell me what you want me to fuck!
Not you, and not you.
Okay, I think it's time to take off your clothes and jump me.
$1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool?
I drink your podcast! I drink it up!
Welcome back to another special episode of I Drink Your Podcast. As you well know, we do not talk reboots, prequels, and sequels in our regular episodes, so we have to do these special episodes for these movies that come out that made a big impact in the year, but that don't really fit our criteria. So we watched Alice in Wonderland today, and I've got with me today Emily.
Hello, everyone.
And Wesley.
Oh, I tried to burp.
Oh.
It didn't work. Hi.
Very successful.
Yeah, so before we get started, just take the time to give us a quick rating on Spotify. Still looking for that 5-star rating. That'll put us at the one that gets us the little number next to it so we know how many people have rated us. Despite plugging for weeks, we still have not reached that goal. So, and if you want to watch Alice in Wonderland along with us, you can feel free to check it out on Disney Plus, where it is streaming for free. So go ahead and hop on Disney Plus now and watch this Tim Burton movie.
Do you think Disney Plus will always have all of their movies available?
No, they'll put it in another vault.
They'll cycle them so that they can announce, oh, Alice in Wonderland is coming back to Disney Plus. Like, they'll always just keep rotating in and out.
Fucking stupid. Anyway.
Tim Burton, huh?
Tim Burton, huh? I'm sure we have some fancy things in our glasses, right? Wesley, do you have anything special for this movie?
Yeah. Mountain Dew.
Woo!
The green beverage of caterpillars. I don't know.
Because Alice Mountain did that Jabberwocky in.
I was just taking a page out of the Trash Wheels book.
Wow.
I was really tired, especially after watching this movie, that I maybe fell asleep during. So, caffeine.
Ben, what do you have in your glass?
I've got a blue caterpillar.
Oh.
Yeah, but what are you drinking?
Naughty. It's blue curacao, Sierra Mist, vodka, and grenadine. Boring ingredients, but a very colorful drink.
Red grenadine?
Red grenadine, yeah.
So it's purple.
Yeah, but it's really blue. It's blue.
Okay. I'll give that a pass.
Emily, what do you got?
I'm drinking the Bloody Red Queen. Has some blood orange syrup and some Sprite and a strawberry on top. Ooh.
Nice. That does look good.
Are you going to eat that strawberry?
Oh, fuck yeah, I am.
Oh.
Obviously. Do you want it? Do you want me to throw it through the screen and give it to you?
That'd be great.
Well, too bad. You can't have it.
You'd be a millionaire if that was possible.
Right. This is a lot like the other movie Tim Burton's done, Willy Wonka, with the television. I don't remember what it's called.
Wonkavision.
Wonkavision. Ooh.
It's not hard.
It's halfway in the name.
Okay, everyone. Before we talk more about this Alice in Wonderland version, what have we all been watching recently? Besides this movie?
I got to take a trip to Vegas the past few days, and on the plane, I got to catch up on some movies that I missed out on last year. So I watched Mass and Come On, Come On, both of which were very good. Come On is a black and white story of Joaquin Phoenix basically taking over as caretaker for his nephew and just learning from him about life. And it was really well done, directed by Mike Mills. But the one I really want to talk about is Mass, which you've heard mentioned on this podcast a couple times before by a couple different people and guests.
And now you finally watched it?
And I finally watched it, and it was so good. So Mass is about two sets of parents coming together in the wake of a school shooting to kind of talk through things. And it's about forgiveness and the grieving process. And it was just so powerful. It's basically 4 people locked in a room for an hour and a half. It's very well done.
That's your kind of shit, Ben.
That's my kind of shit.
It's a bottle episode.
Absolutely. But it was so good. Ann Dowd and Jason Isaacs, they were phenomenal.
Who was the first name you said?
Ann Dowd.
I don't know who that is.
She's a character actress, but she was in The Leftovers. She was like the head woman of the cult, or...
I've never seen her before.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Shut up.
Is she Chris O'Dowd's mom?
She is not. She's in Handmaid's Tale.
Nope.
Have you watched that?
Nope.
Hereditary?
Nope.
Either way, the fact that you guys don't know her is a travesty because she's great. She was in Garden State, Wesley. You love Garden State.
Haven't seen it.
She was in Shiloh?
Haven't seen it. All right, let's talk about a movie I have seen because recently Wesley and I got together and watched Donnie Darko for an Educating Emily episode. I'd never seen it before. Wesley got to show it to me, and I'm really excited to have everyone listen to that episode. It's going to be a wild, wild ride, just like that movie.
I cannot wait to hear Emily's opinion because she kept it very hush-hush. And even I have feelings, so...
You mean you have feelings having watched it like for the first time in a long time?
Yeah. It had easily been over a decade since I had last watched it, and for all you creepy stalkers who have followed us on other things, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it when we first guest appeared on when Cinephiles Attack as the movie that got me into movies. So yeah, it was really interesting to rewatch that now.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Wesley, what have you been watching recently?
I have honestly a ton of stuff. I have been watching so much stuff. I can't even begin to remember half of it. But what I watched most recently, last night I watched Full Metal Jacket.
Oh yeah, you texted me about that.
Yep. I was just scrolling through and I was doing some work later at night, so I just wanted to throw something on. And again, I haven't seen it in a while. It was on Netflix, so I threw it on. It started and I started getting excited. Saw it was a Stanley Kubrick movie and remembered that Emily has never seen any of those. So I texted her to see if she had seen it. And then about 5-10 minutes in, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm not going to recommend this one to Emily to watch.
Oh, that's the guy. Yeah, I have not seen any of his.
There's actually
movies.
a lot of people in there that I didn't realize since the last time I saw it, like Matthew Modine, and yeah, the army guy who's the army guy and everything.
I haven't seen Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's got Michael D'Onofrio. D'Onofrio? Vincent D'Onofrio. Vincent D'Onofrio plays a real fucked up character. Movie is very segmented. Like the first half of the movie feels like its own thing. They're related, but they're at boot camp. So after they get out of boot camp, it's just like an entirely different movie because they're in Vietnam.
Oh, so like Starship Troopers.
Is it like Starship Troopers?
It is exactly like Starship
Because
Troopers.
I just watched Starship Troopers.
I made a reference.
I did just watch Starship Troopers too. And there is a character in Full Metal Jacket named Dizzy who showers with all the boys.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that
They're the same movie. We gotta tell Mike and Bob from Justin DeCane.
Yeah, it's amazing that they got away with ripping that off of Full Metal Jacket. But do you want me to say more? I've seriously been watching so much.
Please don't say more.
Well,
okay.
We watched Alice in Wonderland, which is currently at 51% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, barely.
Let's change that.
If only we had the power to do that. But it did make over $1 billion at the worldwide box office. We're talking billion. It was the 6th movie to ever do so. So this was not a feat that was
Jesus
happening often. So this movie was huge. It also won 2 Oscars for costume design and art direction and was nominated for a 3rd for visual effects.
To quote another movie I watched yesterday, Johnny Depp, so hot right now.
You watched Zoolander yesterday?
I did watch Zoolander yesterday.
Hey, I just watched that for the first time.
I know.
I forgot about that.
That's why I was thinking about it. But yeah, that's got to be just the Johnny Depp buzz, right? Or I guess Tim Burton too. But this was like when Johnny Depp was hot, wasn't he? Or
yeah, I don't know.
Or come down, maybe.
I truly don't know what it is that put this one like over the top, other than it was at the height of the 3D boom, as I'm sure you noticed from some of the random framings that they did during the movie, where it's like, oh, clearly that thing is flying at the screen. But yeah, this thing caught on with audiences big time. And it, as Wesley mentioned, it is directed by Tim Burton. Very well-known director, one that we've talked about before when we did Sweeney Todd. He's also done movies like Batman Returns, Big Fish, Edward Scissorhands,
Frankenweenie,
Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare Before Christmas. Not Nightmare on Elm Street. That was not him.
That'd be a very different movie, huh?
That was Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's funny how easy it is to confuse a Tim Burton movie with a Johnny Depp movie.
Yeah. I mean, because they collaborate so freaking often.
Do you know how many movies they've done together?
This was the 7th, I believe.
This was the 7th, and they did more after this. Because after this, they did Dark Shadows and another
Terrible
one
movie.
of these Alice movies.
And another movie that Ben wants to watch with Emily, Ed Wood.
Giggity.
Oh,
That wasn't a joke.
Okay.
But since we're on it, we're talking about Johnny Depp, all of the movies that he's been in before. Johnny Depp, very famous actor. Most known for probably Edward Scissorhands and his Tim Burton collaborations like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Don't sleep on Pirates.
Oh, and he was Pirates, right. That's probably his most famous role, isn't it? He's done 5 of those. Also in this movie is Helena Bonham Carter, who, again, frequently working with Johnny Depp and Tim Burton.
They were married, weren't they? Or are still married?
Yep. Tim Burton and Helena Bonham Carter were married at this time. They aren't married anymore.
Pobre.
She was also in other movies like Fight Club, one that I know Wesley likes a lot, and then the 2007 one, Sweeney Todd.
Actually, that's what I was just going to say. Is I pulled up Johnny Depp's IMDb, and Sweeney Todd's actually his most popular.
Really?
Or what he's known for the most.
Ugh.
An atypical Tim Burton cast member is Anne Hathaway. She had never done a Tim Burton movie before. This was her first one. They wanted her to do Alice before Tim Burton signed on, but Anne Hathaway was like, no, that's a little close to some of the other characters I've played. I don't want to do that. But she did want to work with Tim Burton, so she agreed to be the White Queen.
She's pretty excited about it, too.
Yeah, she's also pretty terrible in this movie.
Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about that.
And lastly, we'll call out Mia Wasikowska. She is the Alice of this movie. Before this, she was in mostly shorts, a few smaller movies as well. And then her big breakout role was in the HBO series In Treatment, where she was in the first season. Did you ever watch that one, Wesley?
No.
That was the one where they did like, it was like for 8 weeks and they had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday episodes. And it was like a standing thing. So every Monday it would be a therapy session for one character. So every Monday you'd meet up with this new character. And the only thing that was common across all of them, it was the same therapist for all of them.
So like Starship Troopers.
Just like Starship Troopers, yeah.
There is a place like no place on Earth. Some say to survive it, you need to be as mad as a hatter. Which luckily, I am. Alice, it's you. You're back. Alice!
Alice!
See? Alice? You're absolutely Alice. I'd know you anywhere.
Well, Wesley, you just got done watching this movie today. What was it about? Tell us the plot. Explain it to us.
Well, it's Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
Everybody knows Alice in Wonderland.
But is it?
It was for the parts I was awake for.
Oh, man.
It starts off a little bit more with the story of Alice outside of Wonderland, which was really the only thing that really jumped out at me as being something different before I fell asleep. I'm just going to stop saying that caveat. Just know that I fell asleep during this movie. Yeah, Alice is a dreamer and an imaginer and kind of aloof, and she chases down a rabbit to get away from being married, and then trips balls through the entire rest of the movie and sees all these crazy things. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. It's Alice in Wonderland. What did you guys think was so different?
I do have have to ask before we get into that, because I feel like the target audience usually for an Alice spinoff of some sort, or even when Lewis Carroll wrote it, I know that there's a lot of speculation about him as a person and a mathematician and grooming children and all sorts of stuff. I'm just curious though. Oh yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff out there that I just don't really look into, but there are stories all over the internet. But I'm just curious, as a little girl growing up with Alice in Wonderland, I identified a lot with her and like this fairy tale world where she would go off and go on these weird adventures and was kind of an outcast. Is that because I'm a girl? Did either of you have any connection to Alice in Wonderland or not really?
I mean, I didn't really. I'd seen the Disney one, the animated one from the 50s or 60s, and it was trippy as hell. One of the crazier Disney animated movies.
Okay.
But other than that, the only other connection I really had to it was seeing the cover of that computer game that was out when I was growing up.
Okay.
Alice, which is like
It's
the
good.
horror version. I never got to play it.
Good.
But
Oh my
every
God,
time I
Ben,
saw
you
it
should
at
play
Target, I wanted to play it. So
it's definitely worth it to play it now.
I didn't really have a connection to the character. And the thing that really caught me off guard about this movie is, first of all, I hadn't seen it since 2010 when I first saw it in theaters. I thought of it more like the other Disney live action remakes, where it's just like, yeah, we're just going to take that same old story and put it in live action. But they really did more of a sequel to the animated Alice in Wonderland than they did a full-on like reboot, which caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting, I didn't remember that. I thought it was just the same Alice in Wonderland story from the animated one retold using Tim Burton's sensibilities, but it really builds on all of the stuff from that first Alice in Wonderland animated movie and stuff from the book to kind of build this Underland world that we get in this movie.
I haven't actually seen the original Disney from the 50s, Alice in Wonderland. And so my introduction, I'm sure it is, my introduction to Alice in Wonderland was the 1999 TV movie, Alice in Wonderland. Gene Wilder's in it. Literally, there are tons of characters in it that you'd recognize. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But
Martin Short.
Yeah, Martin Short's in it. I legit cannot think of all of them, but there's so many famous people in it. And that's what I thought I was going to get. I was going to get something extremely weird and bizarre. And I don't know if I quite got that. I mean, I did, but I didn't.
I am kind of surprised because this is a star-studded cast. When I am looking at the IMDb for this movie, the first 10, 15 people, like I know them all.
Yeah, but of those 10 to 15, how many of them were people that had 1 to 2 lines that were recorded for some entirely CGI character? Like you had Christopher Lee, who had 2 lines before they cut out his tongue, which what a fucking waste that was.
Right, I know. And it took me a while to recognize Stephen Fry's voice. The other voices I had to look up.
You didn't get Alan Rickman?
Oh, well, duh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He had a lot more lines.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I didn't recognize a lot of the voices until I took some time to look them up.
Yeah, like when you think of the live action characters in this, there's really only the 4 I listed plus Crispin Glover. Everyone else is a CGI character.
Does that mean that it's not star-studded then? Like, I guess that's my point, is just because they're voices doesn't mean that this isn't a well-known cast. I don't know. I rely on their voices a lot when I recognize people instead of looks, so that didn't matter to me at all.
To be fair, I was cooking while I was watching this movie, so...
And I was sleeping. To go back and answer your question, Emily, for me, no. I don't think I related to Alice in any sort of personal way. I loved the animated original. It's one of the best ones. So like I definitely knew it and loved it, but yeah, it's interesting because it's such an old movie and just a classic that I almost have never thought about it in any sort of like critical lens or tried to see it like through somebody else's lens as like a female. So yeah, that's interesting that you kind of have a different built-in experience just because, I don't know, yeah, you could relate more, where I definitely did not.
Well, I just think that even watching this movie for the first time all the way through, I remember seeing pieces of it when my dad rented it and wanted to see it because, we fucking love Tim Burton and his weirdness. I just remember seeing bits and pieces because I thought it looked really weird. It was kind of in that place of where things were starting to do the uncanny valley and things were just a little out of sorts and my brain couldn't really wrap around what was transitioning into art in film. And it gave me too many flashbacks of the Willy Wonka Tim Burton. And I did not like that movie at all. I was really upset by that.
That was one thing that really took me right out of it too for this movie was just the CGI. I know that I had mentioned after the 2007 section of this show that I was looking forward to some better CGI. And this one disappoints. But that's interesting that you say it starts to get to that uncanny valley because I think, you're always limited to the technology of the time. And one of my favorite lessons that I learned going to art school is if you're going to make it look weird, make it look on purpose. Mm-hmm. Because nothing looks worse than accidental. So I do have to give it to Burton for going for it. Like these aren't people, but they're still like live action, just completely disformed.
I wanted to go back to something I said earlier when I talked about how this movie seemed too weird when I first was looking at it, but also it wasn't weird enough for me. And what you said, Wesley, made me think about how visually it was super out there, but story-wise, I didn't feel like it had me all the way through. Like, it seemed like such a... Okay, Alice in Wonderland is a series of vignettes, and weird things happen to her. They're poems. There are all sorts of little stories here and there where she goes from character to character. There's no real through line besides her getting home. Very different kind of story than like Wizard of Oz, which really focuses on her getting home, versus Alice is like, I'm tripping balls and I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am. So when they tried to create this story for her, I did appreciate that they were trying to link everything in a way that made a lot more sense than past renditions I've seen. But it still felt basic as fuck. It didn't feel really cohesive. It was really generic to me.
Well, that's because all they did was basically throw on a generic prophecy storyline onto this to get to be the driving thing throughout the entire movie. Like they say, Alice is destined to defeat the Jabberwocky on Frabjous Day.
Believe in yourself.
And from there, it was just vignette to get us to the end battle. It like Tim Burton even said, I want to try to like do a narrative through line instead of having just a series of events happening. And he didn't even achieve that, and that was his entire goal. This movie's all sizzle and no steak. Like the visuals are really good when we're talking about the general look of Wonderland and the general direction that he took. But then when you get down to the nitty gritty of the CGI, like the dog looked terrible. Anytime Crispin Glover jumped on a horse,
oh my God,
looked awful.
Were the horses fake? They were
the horses
fake,
were
right?
fake. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite CGI moment.
Yep. And then Tweedledee and Tweedledum just looked awful, unwatchable.
They didn't bother me as much as they did when I first saw the trailer back in 2010 or 2009 or something like that. They didn't bother me as much.
That's just what Matt Lucas
weird.
Looks like.
Right.
They didn't CGI him at all.
But I think you're right. There were parts where they had choices. Maybe it was the 3D lens that they were really focused on, where the Mad Hatter would suddenly have really strange eyeballs and then suddenly normal eyeballs. And I honestly didn't mind the Red Queen having a giant head. I thought that was kind of funny to have this narrative of her head being 3 times the size of a normal human head. And I kind of liked how her little groupies were all trying to fake their appendages and body parts to be large too. I thought that was like a nice horrific aspect. But man, there was some real weird shit going on.
I like that eye size of Johnny Depp bothers you, but there's a blue smoking caterpillar in the movie.
That's normal, though. That's normal in Alice in Wonderland. And it's fucking Alan Rickman who fucking kills it. For example, when he's like, "You're not Absalom, I'm Absalom, stupid girl." Every time he said stupid girl, I just like giggled to myself. It's like, yeah, Alan Rickman, you tell her.
Okay, I can't really tell, Emily. Did you like this movie?
I actually did. I liked it.
God. Okay.
I didn't love it. I liked a lot of aspects, and I felt like Alice carried the movie. I really liked her as Alice. And I'm not saying I've seen a ton of Alice in Wonderland. I've seen 2 plays. I've been in one Alice in Wonderland where I was the caterpillar. I have seen the 1999 version. I've read it. I did a book report on it. I'm not saying I'm obsessed or anything, because I'm not.
Well, you haven't even seen the original.
I know, right? If you don't agree that Alice killed it in this movie and carried the whole fucking thing, and she had just this charm to her, I might be upset.
Well, she was the only one that really had to act everything out. You know, everybody else was so CGI'd and edited that they kind of had a crutch there that they could lean on.
True. But she was just such a delight.
Yeah.
And I felt more fully like I could latch on to her character and what she was going through. Even though there wasn't really a ton going on in the narrative, I still admired her performance.
And just to be fair, I don't think that there were many bad acting situations here. Like, everybody acted great. It's just the combination of all of the visual issues and just not a great story that really brings it down.
Anne Hathaway did not act great. Can we talk about her now?
Yes, we can. Because
she was awful in this. Her little stance where she would always be like this with her arms pointed in the air and her elbows at her side, like, oh, just awful.
When she would almost throw up at disgusting things was the worst.
Anne Hathaway was in this movie?
No, I agree, Ben. She did a horrible job, and I really liked Anne Hathaway back in Princess Diaries, and there are a few aspects where I kind of enjoy her. Like, I didn't mind her in The Dark Knight Rises, but I don't know. I just really haven't found her to be all that great.
I think she needs a director who has a little more control over the actors, because when you get a person like Tim Burton who's just like, oh yeah, man, go crazy with your character, that's going to let Anne Hathaway get a little bit out of control. And I think she needs someone to rein her in a little more.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. But you're right. Her hands, even just like her facial expressions, were so out there for an Alice in Wonderland movie. Like, how do you do that? For a Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland. She stuck out like a sore thumb in the worst way possible.
Wesley, did you like this movie?
I think it's been pretty clear that I did not.
What was your least favorite thing about the movie?
I think the CGI, I mean, it was just really a letdown because this movie relies so heavily on it, and it's just not good. Like, there are things that are kind of cool, but just overall, it's not a very fun-looking movie. It's just like somebody's trying something and throwing every piece of spaghetti that they have at the wall. Ben, did you like the movie?
No, I did not like this movie. I didn't like the movie when I first saw it. I thought I might have a chance at liking it when Emily said she was enjoying it. I did not like it at all.
There were parts you liked, though, right?
I like the pig acting like a footrest for the queen. That was the only part that made me chuckle the entire movie. There was a lot that was just like meh. Like, okay, I'm just sitting here watching it. The story, I can't get over how badly constructed the story is. And I didn't feel like... Okay, we're going to get on the soapbox a little bit and quibble.
All right, let's get down to it.
Okay.
I'll just take it.
When you have a movie that has a prophecy, and prophecies are foretold and are going to happen, it then tries to present it as a choice to Alice, only Alice doesn't have a choice because the prophecies already said that this happens. It's nonsense. I fucking hate when movies try to take liberties with that. Same thing with time travel movies or anything about future being set in stone, like Looper. If you're going to establish that things happen in the future, characters don't have choice anymore. Now it's about destiny. which smacks in the face of all of the stuff earlier in the movie about Alice having to choose whether to be the wife or not. It was completely disconnected in message.
I mean, sometimes destinies are left open-ended enough to where it isn't fact. And I guess I'm specifically thinking of Harry Potter.
Sure, where that was broad enough of a prophecy to then be like, okay, that could also apply to Neville.
Right.
Like, I get that, for sure.
It's not fully set in stone.
If you're going to have such a specific prophecy in that little, whatever the scroll was, where it's literally Alice sitting with the other characters reading about what's happening to them right at that moment, like, you're very clearly showing us, no, that has to be Alice. She doesn't really have a choice. She's going to battle the Jabberwocky.
Well, it only showed her holding a sword with something near
Jabberwocky shaped.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't show her getting eaten. It didn't show her chopping the head off. So
I didn't say it foretold that she was going to win, but the fact of her having a choice of fighting or not, there was no choice because we already saw her fighting in the prophecy.
I guess so, yeah.
Did we? Or did we just see her holding up a sword?
In battle on a mountaintop.
You don't
they
know.
Were stairs, actually, Ben.
You don't know how big that Jabberwocky is. Forced perspective can be weird, especially in a hand-drawn scroll. But I absolutely agree with you on prophecies and time travel as one of the biggest hang-ups to get over for a lot of movies for me. And speaking of Donnie Darko, Ben and I used to debate a lot, specifically around Donnie Darko. And it eventually, just became more general about time travel movies. But I remember back in college when I first went up to Fargo, just chatting on AIM with Ben, discussing Donnie Darko theories.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are cute.
And if a movie establishes its own interior logic around time travel, I'm all about that. Like, stay internally consistent, and I'm good with whatever rules you want to throw at me. It's when
Primer.
they either don't, right, like Primer. Oh, fuck, Primer's so good, Emily. We got to watch Primer.
Okay.
But yes, like, if you're going to establish your own rules, as long as you follow those rules, I'll be on board with whatever you want. It's when you either choose to not establish your own rules or establish rules and then break them that I then have a problem with it.
Yeah, that goes the same for when you're in the bedroom, right?
Yes. If you're going to set rules, we need to follow those rules.
I would like to continue this tearing down of the movie a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I do want to counter some of the things, not the time travel and the prophecy shit, because I'll go along with that. I think that's perfectly reasonable, but I also watch a lot of movies with prophecies, so I don't know how I feel, actually. But there was an aspect in this movie that I found to be beyond creepy, and it was between the Mad Hatter and Alice. I feel like that friendship, after watching how the knave kind of assaults Alice, and then just seeing the Mad Hatter and Alice like looking at each other, it just made it feel a little bit creepier. And yeah, she's a 19-year-old girl. I get it. Like, everything's okay. But it didn't have the same sort of charm and innocence of my typical Alice in Wonderland thoughts. Although, to be fair, I do love me some Alice Madness Returns video game. So, I don't know. That part just made me uncomfortable in my stomach and churning a little bit, because I didn't think it was obvious, but it was subtle enough for me as a woman to go, if she stays in Wonderland, there's something that's going to happen. And I don't like that.
And I don't want to be there when it does.
Exactly.
So right when this movie first started and it started to dig deeper and spend more time with Alice outside of Wonderland, I started thinking to myself, if it would be cool if there were a movie that was kind of like a modern retelling, like I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio, or something similarly distant from the source material.
The Matrix.
Yeah. The Matrix is basically Alice in Wonderland.
You're welcome.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, but so when she was just like walking around, I was starting to think about what that would look like, and I don't think they have done something like that, have they? Like, where she doesn't even go to Wonderland, she's just like a messed up person and tripping balls in real life.
Alice Madness Returns, the video game.
Is that really the plot?
Yeah. It's pretty fucked up. You all got to play it.
Can we talk about how this movie is basically just Hook?
Well, then why didn't you love it, Ben?
Because it wasn't Hook.
Because it wasn't Hook.
Actually, they were going to have Robin Williams be the March Hare, and they didn't, and I'm really upset that they didn't.
Hook to Peter Pan is the same type of sequel as this one is to the original Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, where they return and he's older or she's older? Got it.
Yep, it's just made me wish I was watching Hook.
Yeah, but this one didn't have Rufio.
No, it didn't.
But see, here, this movie worked for me because I felt like it had the same level of costumes and world building that Hook did have. Again,
yeah, but
story,
Hook was 20 years earlier.
I know.
Hook was 20 years earlier and did everything practically. Like, that's the problem with this. Like, if he had done Alice in Wonderland in this big, extravagant, colorful thing with actual, like, production sets, I would have been all about this movie, and I would have forgiven it of so many things because, oh my God, look at the craft that went into this. Like, I don't appreciate CGI as much as I do the physical construction of sets.
I think we're all kind of in the same boat for that. We've kind of talked about this before, how I think we mentioned with Sweeney Todd, how it would have been way better if they had used practical sets or minis, even just miniatures of London. And I still think that a lot of it worked well. And maybe it's because I was like half watching on a tiny screen while I was cooking. And if I watched it on a big screen, I may have noticed some of those things a little bit more. But I really liked it. And I'm not saying I loved this movie, but I liked it. I think it was a fun movie. I had a lot of problems, but there were parts of it that just made me smile and be a little nostalgic, but also slightly escape into a weird world.
It's definitely got some fantasy going on.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. I know that, Ben, you said you hated the prophecy stuff, but the moment when Alice says that she sometimes thinks about 6 impossible things before breakfast and counts, I know you probably are going to be like, oh, that was so stupid. I actually thought that was really sweet. So, you know what? It's fine. You can yell at me and say I'm wrong, but I still think that was very sweet.
You are wrong because the whole ending is terrible.
Okay, no, after that, once she chops the head off, everything after that was shit. The Mad Hatter dance, whatever the fuck that was, I don't even remember what it was called, but it sounded like he was gonna jerk off or something like that. That was the dance.
You know what that reminded me of? Was Crispin Glover from Epic Movie where he's doing the Willy Wonka dance. You remember that, Wesley?
No, I actually don't.
Epic Movie.
Blacked that one out.
But no, I didn't like the counting down the 6 things before breakfast because was it before breakfast? Like, I didn't get the sense that was before breakfast. So I was
Isn't
like,
it always before breakfast?
You know what? You are just picking at straws right now.
The only time it's not before breakfast is when it is breakfast.
Yep.
I'm with you, Wesley.
Don't feed
Second
the gremlins after
breakfast.
midnight.
Third
Yep.
breakfast. Shut up, Ben. But I would say once she kills the Jabberwocky, the part where she's up in the air and slices the head off, that was really fucking cool to me. But after that, everything went to shit. There was the dance. There was a stupid song with the stupid dance. The end scene where this woman, Alice, becomes an apprentice in 1870. Whatever. Super fucking stupid. It made me so obnoxious. And then she fucking does a dance too. I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Is so stupid.
How come it didn't bother you when Elizabeth Swann became the Pirate King in Pirates of the Caribbean with that
Because
same
pirates
logic?
are more fantastical than her becoming an apprentice in 1870. Come on.
I
That's
don't
a
know
great
about that.
point, though. I think going back to what I wanted to see with like a modern retelling, I just want to see like a 2020 Alice. Like I want to see what that looks like, where it's not ye oldie times and everybody's all dressed
I could
up
see that.
in frilly stuff, but like a real, just modern retelling. But also, I hate sequels, so I don't want to see that.
I mean, if it was really good, I'd be all up for it. I feel like I could actually write a modern Alice in a way that would be really well done. I'm sure there are people that have written fan fiction Alice in a modern retelling in an exceptional way.
Not Hook exceptional.
Shut the fuck up, Ben.
Well, let's put a cork in this thing. Wesley, give us final thoughts real quick. Alice in Wonderland.
Cool attempt, I guess, but the first movie, the original's better.
Yeah. Emily?
I really wish this movie had been even darker. When Alice was crossing the moat and there were the chopped heads and she was jumping across it, I thought we were going in a direction that I was really excited for. I didn't quite get it. Got a little too sappy for me at the end. I want something a little bit more reminiscent of the video game. Otherwise, I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Yep, I think you nailed it, Emily. This movie tried to play it right down the middle, and it was successful in terms of box office because it did that, but either a darker take or a much more lighter take would have been much more preferable to me than what we ended up getting.
Give me the Heartbreak Kid version of Alice in Wonderland.
Let's fuck the pain away and do a quick round of shots before we go. So I'm going to just throw out a question and give me the first answer that pops into your head. This isn't nearly as involved as Battle of Twits, just real quick. What movie would be improved by adding a prophecy?
I think I watched too many movies with prophecies. Like Willow and Labyrinth kind of has a prophecy.
Hot Rod.
Oh, yes. What's the prophecy then?
I mean, it could even just be that he's going to do the jump, but adding some mysticality to that, and it's already got the right tone to where you don't have
really
to play
does.
it super seriously. It could be like the guy that is going through the dumpster just happens to tell Bill Hader that Andy is the one who's going to do the one big jump.
And he comes over and he's like, dude, guess what?
My entire world is shattered.
That's a good pick.
That is a good pick.
I'd go Home Alone. Only I want the prophecy to be about the wet bandits, the sticky bandits.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, not about Kevin, but like that's why the bandits keep going after this kid, is because they were told that they were the ones that are going to take him down eventually. So that's why they keep coming back.
They are the Voldemort to his Harry Potter.
That's right, yeah.
My goodness.
What movie or story should be remade by Tim Burton?
I don't know. I honestly, I would take any fairy tale, but like not a traditional fairy tale in the Disney verse. I would take a fairy tale that maybe we haven't seen before. That is maybe a dark German tale or like something with trolls in Norway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'd get along, but I feel like a collab between Guillermo del Toro and Tim Burton would be really cool with trolls.
All right, are you guys ready for the correct answer?
Yes.
Shut up.
Fast and Furious.
Oh.
The next stage. What is it? What are they on? Fast 10 now?
Yeah.
So stupid.
That's really good. No, Wesley, you're on point today. I'd like him to do something Edgar Allan Poe related. I think he'd be a good match for Poe. The Raven, Follow the House of Usher, Telltale Heart. Something along those lines would be a cool story. Or either the Munsters or Addams Family also.
Oh, yeah. I could see that being really fun, actually. Also, when you said the fall of the House of Usher, I was just like, Usher!
Ursha. Ursha.
Okay, last one. Alice in Wonderland was the first one. Alice Through the Looking Glass was the second one. Give me the title of the third movie in the trilogy.
This doesn't even make sense, but Alice, your mama.
No, it doesn't make sense. What is that about? Is she a mom in that one? Like, is that the progression?
Fuck if I know. I legit do not know. It just came out of my mouth.
I had one and I just forgot it.
Oh my god, what if it was Alice in Hospice? And it's a really dark, sad tale of her dying
It's like
and
the
going back
Notebook.
to Wonderland.
I'm going to combine two franchises and call the third movie
Alice Tokyo Drift.
better than mine, but I'm going to go with Alice Age, and it is the very much awaited for next addition to the Ice Age franchise.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Alice is going to hang out with some mammoths. And Sid the Sloth.
Love it.
Ben?
You know, I'm just going to go with a movie I already know has Alice in the title and call it Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which is like a 70s drama about just a woman.
Who the fuck is Alice? I don't know where she's going. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Alice? Who the heck
Who
is
the
Alice?
fuck is Alice? It's the fuck. Come on.
It's the heck.
Wesley. No, it's the fuck.
No, I go to Big Jim's Apple Barn and they play it all the time.
Oh, they play a PG version of it. That is not the correct version. The fuck.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to us today talk about Alice in Wonderland. We do appreciate your patronage. Please like, rate, subscribe, share us with a friend or two. And you can follow us on social media at IDYP_podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or you can email us at idrinkyourpodcast@gmail.com. And next week, we are having a special episode with Matt and Wesley on because it's our 2-year anniversary next week. So actually, Matt's here with us right now.
Whoa, showing up.
Hey,
surprise.
All right.
Hey, I haven't been here the whole episode.
Well, Matt, the reason I brought you here today is because with 2 years, it's a big milestone. I wanted to incorporate something new. And with this season, we're really only focusing on the best that 2010 has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to change.
Oh, fall.
I'm introducing something called the Wheel of Trash, Matt, and you are the first one that gets to play. So,
lucky.
I am going to share with you what I have here.
Oh dear.
Rightfully, Matt should play the game named after himself.
Hey, at least I'm a wheel, bitch.
We have 12 movies on here, 15 spots. So the movies that you may have to watch are Grown Ups.
Yep.
Furry Vengeance or Marmaduke. If you land on that one, you get to pick which one you want to watch.
Fucking okay.
You're welcome. The Tourist, Valentine's Day,
Jesus.
Burlesque, Clash of the Titans, Gulliver's Travels, Prince of Persia, Percy Jackson, Last Airbender, Jonah Hex, and Skyline. These are all movies that have under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Prince of Persia should definitely have more than 50%. Shut the fuck up.
An added bonus, most of these you could immediately then listen to How Did This Get Made?
Pretty much, yeah. So there's also 3 spots on there for my choice, Emily's choice, or your choice, Matt. So you can pick the worst or best, whatever you want to do. So are you ready to play Wheel of Trash?
Yeah, and as the first person to play, can I just say I am deeply honored that I have been selected. And, I think in the future, you should have one choice, like a golden part of the wheel that's one good choice, like a very small chance.
I mean, I did that with Matt's choice. Like, you can pick which one you want to watch.
It still forces you to pick out of the Wheel of Trash. I think that you should have one good movie on there, but
the wheel let me weight these categories. I could have made Grown Ups a giant chunk of this graph.
I want Grown Ups. I hope I can choose. All right.
Okay, here we go.
So how do I spin?
You don't.
Just tell me when.
Okay, go.
It's just like a slot machine. Here we go.
That's
God, Matt just got himself addicted.
Keep going, Matt.
Okay. What's it gonna land on? There goes Grown Ups.
All right, it goes one more. What?
I think we're gonna call that Burlesque. It is Burlesque.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So Matt, next week for our 2-year anniversary, we are watching Burlesque, the Christina Aguilera Cher musical.
Wait, we all have to do this?
We are all doing this, Wesley.
Because of Matt's shitty spin.
Hey, Kristen Bell's in it. That's good, right?
Yeah, we got to take our wins where they come.
This is going to be terrible. I can't wait. Thanks,
Okay,
Matt.
well,
Trash.
Matt, thanks for joining us, and thank you everybody again for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Trash Wheel.